world?
Hey!
Hey! And welcome to the Mecca of Mastery TV. I am your host, Mecca. If it is your mission to become the greatest version of yourself in every area of life, then you are in the right place. I'm so excited about this video, guys, because today we have Anna on the show, and we are going to be speaking about some deep things, guys. We're speaking about mental health. Today we are getting deep. You know, here at Mecca Mastery TV, we like to go deep. So Anna, or better known as Anna the Jesus, is a multi-award winning UK fashion lifestyle freelance blogger, fashionista, and entrepreneur. With such a fiery personality and passion for life, Anna expresses her gifts through her creative and impactful writing. When she's not busy being a part-time mermaid and unicorn on the weekends, she's sharing her journey with mental health, flowers, food, and of course, it's cruelty-free. Guys, I'm so excited about this interview because Anna, when I met you, when I seen you, I had this instant connection, right? I didn't even know exactly. That's how you know the energy is real.
When they say vibing,
when you
vibing, you know.
As soon as she stepped up on that stage, you know, I felt her energy. I didn't know exactly what it was.
Was it that very extra dress, the floral dress and the flower crown?
Oh, guys, she went
and everyone else in jumpers, and you're like, okay, this girl is extra.
Yeah. Then when she started speaking about her life, and then she came out and then she said, well, you know, I deal with mental health, you know, and it was a bloggers meetup how I met her. I went to a bloggers meetup, and basically Anna is very, very inspiring, and she's very successful at what she do. Like over 18,000 followers, and she built this business on her own. So I want to ask, how did you get into this business and why?
Well, actually, it's kind of a long story how I got into blogging. I followed blogs from like the age of 16, but I wasn't necessarily like connected to them on an emotional level. It was more in the sense of like looking at their style and just being like, wow, these are beautiful photos. So aesthetically, they were wonderful. And I've been writing from such a young age. Like, it's always been such a passion of mine. When I was in university, in my second year of university, I just felt like I wanted to start a blog. I wanted to just start writing and share my style with people, because people were always like, wow, you're so fashionable, this and that, and oh my god, I like your style. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Apparently.
Well, I'm always extra. Even back then, I was still extra. Actually, in my third year of university, I was really sick. In my third year, I was working as a community nurse, and then I had to quit because I got even more sick, so I had to quit work. And just concentrate on doing my dissertation, which, you know, took up a lot of my time. And then I remember when I left university, I just felt kind of, it sounds sad to say because I like to think positively, but it's true, I felt really empty. I didn't know exactly why. I mean, I do now, but at the time I was like, you know, I should be over the moon. I got good grades, and you know, on my graduation day, like it should have been like the happiest day of my life. Like I got a first. Like
there was something that was missing.
Right, exactly. Anyway, I remember got home that day. I felt really like down, really low, like still very empty, and I began to realize a few things. Then I began to make some changes in my life. The month after I started blogging, not long after actually. I was like, oh, you know, I love to write, and writing's always been like a form of like therapy for me, like very cathartic. And
she's a great writer, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Great writer.
She's been kind, but thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love to write. It's the one thing that I felt like I'm actually good at. I was also on the verge of homelessness, and you know, there was a lot going on.
Wow.
There was a lot going on, and I was just really like stressed out and being sick a lot, and just a lot of health issues.
And then, despite all of that, you still pushed through and started this business.
I did. So I remember I had a friend, her sister was like, I want to take some photos of you. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? Because she heard about the blogging and stuff. And then, you know, then we started taking photos together. When I first started blogging though, like, my first posts, I mean, they don't exist anymore because they were terrible. They were terrible, but I remember...
Like, get them off the page.
Like, obviously, but you know, you got to start somewhere. But,
that's so true.
But then I know my version of terrible is someone else's version of good. It wasn't to the level, you know, that I would want it to be. But it was a start, and I remember, I think one of the posts was called, like, Sunshine and Rainbows, and then... Because I originally started the blog just simply to be a fashion blog, just, you know, like I would still write in detail and stuff, but it just evolved naturally that I had a lot of unresolved issues that I wanted to talk about, and I thought maybe I could raise awareness. So, you know, and these were the posts that were popular and got, you know, me kind of, well, not established, I would say, but more like people identified with the stories that I was telling. And then it grew like from that. Like, you know, I was talking about my past, so like, you know, abusive childhood, which obviously is not the easiest thing to talk about. And I would
That's
have to,
absolutely true, because
right.
I talk about that too sometimes.
And it's like, how can you tell someone that you're, you know, someone that was meant to be like a mother substitute abused you, you know?
Yeah. I know
really
exactly. It brings up so many emotions, doesn't it?
Right, exactly. And it was really hard writing these things, but it was also very therapeutic. I was like, oh, wow. And people really resonated. For example, a notable example, I remember writing a post about the abuse, and the amount of like messages and emails and like people in person like coming up to me and saying like, you know, this happened to me, or wow, this is something I can't imagine going through, but like it's just amazing. Yeah. I remember there was a post I wrote actually on what not to say to someone if they're struggling with depression. And this really resonated with a lot of people. But I remember there was this lady on Instagram, and then I went into the message and I was like blown away by what she'd said. She was like, oh, I just read your post on struggling with depression, and I really want to thank you because I think you just saved my marriage. And I was like, wait, what? Right. Well, then I read on because it was quite a long message. She was saying about, you know, my husband was never diagnosed, you know, with depression and anxiety. She was like, but after I read your post, I realized that he had a lot of the symptoms that you were talking about. And she said, and I also realized that I hadn't approached it in the right way. And then he actually ended up getting a diagnosis. They began talking because he didn't like talking about his feelings, but he began sharing in her. He got therapy. They're still together. Yeah. Exactly.
Save a life, honey. Right. Save a life.
Well, she literally said, and I was like, oh no, she must be exaggerating. Like, can't save a marriage from a post, but like, it's the power of words. Like, what you say really has an impact.
But that's amazing. So you were sick. So the thing is, you were sick, and then someone contacted you and said, let's take pictures. And it started off, let's just do a fashion blog.
Yeah.
Then
but it evolved. And that's what it is now. Like now, I mean,
wow.
Like, so then I went from doing fashion to fashion and life. So now I was talking about my life. And then it's gradually evolved from there. So I talk
as you evolve.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, I talk about food and drink, bars, restaurants, hotels. I talk about my life. I talk about dating. I talk about sex. Like, you know, this is a very big component actually of my blog, is taboo issues, because for so long I was constrained in what I could and couldn't say. And people were like, you can't talk about this, you can't be like this, you can't do this. And I'm like,
I can do what I want.
Right, exactly. I was like, no, you cannot prohibit me from doing anything. I was like, because how can I be my true, authentic self if I cannot express myself
how you want
right?
to?
And
you hear that, guys?
Yes.
Express yourself how you want to. That's the authentic way. And when you be yourself and when you express yourself how you want to,
exactly.
That actually,
but that's when you blossom, when you grow. Exactly. And you know, it helped with my writing stuff. And then blogging really opened some doors for me. Like, I got to network with people. It was the one place where I actually felt like home. Because, you know, I've moved from place to place. I've obviously had a lot of family issues. Like, I've had a lot of abandonment and neglect, and the past is not something that should hold you back, you know.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know, it should anchor you in the present. You should never forget where you came from, but at the same time, you can't let it hold you back, you know.
So true.
I had so many people being like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. If I listened to them, I would get nowhere.
That's true.
And people today are still like, oh, well, why do you blog? Like, it doesn't bring you much money. Like, you know, you're not rich and whatever. And I'm like, I'm not doing it for the money. Exactly. I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it. It makes me happier.
Exactly.
I said my mental health is more important than making a dollar. You know what I mean?
Woo-hoo.
Right.
Ooh, you can say that again. My mental health is more important than making a dollar.
So
and
true.
I can add to that because, guys, if you've been following me, or if you've been a family member here at Mecca Mastery TV, then you know my background, which is being, I come from that, dysfunctional background, being in exotic dance for 7 years, and I literally traded my soul for money. And that's what I was doing for that long. And people ask me, how did I evolve?
Right, but in that moment, that was the choice that you needed to make.
That was the choice that I needed to make. Exactly.
And sometimes, we were talking about this earlier, actually, catching up over tea, and we were like, sometimes you need to do things that you don't necessarily agree with to survive. And that doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't mean what you're doing is bad. It just means that's the way that you need to survive in this society,
So tell me this.
Yes.
You have the blogging, okay? Yes. And which, guys, Anna, like I stated before, she's a multi-award winning blogger, okay? She gets paid for this.
It always sounds so cheesy when I'm like, they're like, oh, you won awards, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah. I'm not the best at receiving compliments, but I mean, it's nice. It's nice to be recognized for your work, I guess.
Yeah, and you deserve it. You deserve it.
Thank you.
So, guys, she get paid for this, right? She have people, because I remember when we were at this blogging, at the bloggers meetup, and this guy actually came up to her. He had like a hotel or something.
Yeah, in Bali.
Yeah, Bali. He's like, can you come to Bali? Here's my card. I'm thinking like, damn, you get an opportunity on the spot. So, being that you built this business, and you have all these people that contact you, and you're doing these posts, and it's hard to build a business. Like most people think that it's easy to be an entrepreneur. This is not easy. This is not for the weak. So being that you're doing that, and you're building, you're finding new content, and you're going out and doing something.
And especially when you have to bear in mind that I haven't been well either.
Exactly. I'm going to ask, how are you managing or dealing with the mental health?
Right.
Because, so many people have this issue, whether they know it or not. Most of us have mental health issues, whether we know it or not.
Yes.
If you had any traumatic event that happened in your life, any abuse that happened in your life, it can be one event. You're going to have some type of mental health.
PTSD. Right.
Exactly.
Especially, and I will say this as well, especially when you're young, when these things happen. But these things happen throughout your life, and they keep on happening, you know? And it all becomes a trigger sequence of events, and you're like, when you're trying to, bury it under the carpet, because people are like, oh, stop being a drama queen. No, let me tell you something. Being open about your mental health does not make you a drama queen. It's not attention seeking to seek help. It's not selfish to focus on self-care, not at all. And these are all things that I was told many times, and I was like, oh, because I would cry a lot because A, I'm sensitive, and B, I'm emotional, but this is because it was my way of processing things. And also, when bad things are happening to you, like, I don't know how else to react, because that's my reaction process.
How do you manage that mental health with while you're building the business, while you're still producing?
Right, well, so to answer that, I kind of have to go back to the beginning. So as I say, I was sick, I was unwell, like physically and emotionally. But obviously, when you're sick physically, being sick emotionally as well has an impact on that too.
Ooh.
As you know.
Girl.
But the way I've always dealt with these kind of things is like through writing. And actually, I have to say that blogging really helped me with my mental health. So when I started writing, I was like, and then people were reaching out to me and messaging me about this. And I was like, wow, like people are resonating with my story. Like, because it wasn't something I used to, obviously. And this is kind of like the turning point, really. Like, I can't lie and say that, I'm happy all the time, like, this and that, but I'm definitely better at dealing with the mental health because I found my coping mechanisms, so to speak.
Is it the blogging that helped you deal with
Yes,
that?
absolutely.
Or do you have any other things that you would do, like meditation or something, or yoga?
Not necessarily meditation, yoga, but it's more about stuff like doing stuff for me. And like starting to say no to things that don't benefit myself, because that obviously contributes to
we were speaking about that earlier. Saying no.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always had an issue with saying no. And obviously, if you look at it from a psychoanalytic point of view, you can say, well, the reason that you have trouble saying no is because there's always been so many people saying no to you, so you feel bad about saying no to other people. It's very true. And I've always
deep.
Well, I've always had
let that sink in for a minute.
Yes. No, it's true. It's true.
Have a hard time saying no to other people because so many people said no to you.
Exactly. And how...
That's deep.
Right. Well, because the thing is, if you've grown up all your life being rejected by everyone, like, by everyone, by your own family, it's like, how do you find it in your heart to reject other people? And that's like, I always struggle with, because that's like...
You reject yourself.
Right. To appease other people. Exactly.
Woo!
I know. We did say it was going to get deep.
Deep, honey.
You know,
Deep.
It's deep. But, you know, and then... well, obviously various things have happened. I mean, I have therapy right now, which is really helping.
Yes.
CBT, I don't know if you know much about it. It's,
the oil.
No, CBT. You're thinking of CBD, not that kind of oil.
Lord,
but apparently that's meant to be good, so you know.
Love, forgive.
Oh,
See where my mind is at.
Shantae, you stay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Behavior therapy.
Yeah. Cognitive behavioral therapy. The way it works, because the way that I would deal with things, so this is why I said I kind of need to go back to the beginning, because yes, blogging did help, but I also had like a mantra in life. Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
Things will be better. The problem is, with this positive mindset, I was not acknowledging the negative things that were happening in my life, and because I was always brushing things under the carpet to be strong for other people and to appear a certain way. When you have poor mental health, or when you've had such bad situations happen in your life, often negative and toxic people will be attracted to your energy because they sense that vulnerability, you know? It's very true. It's very true.
Anna, you better.
Vibing.
Ooh,
but it's
girl,
true. Because
yes.
they can sense that you're nice. Like, I'm, you know, some people go the other way.
Yes.
Some people, they become the version of themselves that other people were to them. So, like, say you were getting bullied, then eventually you become the bully, so the tables turn because of that insecurity, right? And I was like, no, I'm not that kind of person. I like to help people. I like to make people feel better. I like to be
You're going to
positive.
become better.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so this positive mantra, it did help me a lot. But
mantras.
Yes.
Affirmations.
Right, exactly.
Use them.
Yes. Exactly.
You know, guys, when it comes to the point that when you have something inside of you, whatever is inside of you, right? Whether that is love, that's hate, that's anger, that's fear,
whatever
that's abuse, whatever emotion that is, you're going to attract that specific emotion from other people back to you.
Because like we were saying about that whole energy that you give out will attract certain kind of people. And I was in some really not so great relationships, and you know, I let a lot of people take advantage of me. I let a lot of people use me. And this is because I didn't know my own worth. I didn't know I was worth more. I didn't know I deserved better. Because, I mean, it's true. Like,
I know the feeling, honey. I know it.
When the thing is, I've always wanted love, and I've never known how to find it. And I've always looked in the wrong places.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
Do you love yourself?
Now I'm starting to. It's the honest answer. I can't say I love myself.
I like that. And I feel like most people,
yeah,
we are always on a journey to loving ourselves.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Loving yourself is giving to yourself.
Yes.
Loving yourself is facing yourself. Loving yourself is admitting, you know, the parts of you that is ugly.
Right.
You know, I remember I had parts of me that is lazy as hell.
Yeah. I could
for
be
example,
lazy.
Yeah, for example, when I had, you know, sugar daddies or whatever for 7 years. You know, I have this thing inside of me and I have this energy and I can go out and do things and, you know, but a part of me was lazy when it comes to certain things, you know, the security was good there and I didn't feel like having to struggle. Exactly. And I had to face that. Yeah. That's the reason why, you know, like you said, you blossom.
Right.
That was the biggest cause of my blossom when I faced that. You know what, Mecca, you have to be responsible in this area of your life, no matter how comforting it is.
Because security is false. It's a false sense of security.
It's not really.
It's like
security.
you're in a cocoon, but that cocoon is paper thin. When you come out of the cocoon, you
might look at all this life.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what is all of this? Oh, there's Bug's life, you know. But anyway, so I got this. CBT, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy. So I did this self-referral and it asked me a lot of like quite intense questions and it asked me to describe a few things as to, you know, how I felt and stuff. And I was like, you know, there's days where I really struggle to get out of bed and stuff. But the thing is, the reason why it took so long to get help is because to anyone who can't see beyond the, you know, the exterior that I put out, I look really positive, happy, I'm laughing, you know, I've dressed well, I put makeup, I make an effort, you know, and they're like, wow, this girl's got it together, and oh, look at all this stuff that she's doing.
Yeah.
Did they ever stop to think that the reason I do all this stuff is because when I sit down, right, and when I sit down, that's when everything just washes over me, and I'm like, I don't know how to cope. My way of coping was to do many things at once, and that would also be really bad for my mental health, because I'm not, you know, my eggs are everywhere, so to speak. They're not all in one basket, they're everywhere, because, you know, and I realised this from therapy as well. Yeah, exactly. I've got a little nest of eggs, you know. I mean, I still have it, so it's good. I've had it for a few months. It's helped me not necessarily let go of the positive mindset, but look at things more realistically. Sometimes I'm in a kind of like fantasy world.
Give an example.
As an example, well, he taught me this thing. It's like your thoughts are triggers of consequences that have happened. So as an example, he gave me, there's two guys. One guy is feeling like, there's two guys, they've broken up with their girlfriend. One guy is like feeling like the world is ending, like he can't cope, he doesn't know how he's going to get through life. He's like, I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel, like it's just goes straight to...
And other guys, like, you see all these little fishes swimming in the sea?
Yeah, no, not quite, but the other guy's like, oh, well, you know, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling terrible, but I know that eventually I will feel better. He was like, obviously the way that you've been thinking is like, oh, I feel terrible, but I'm fine. When that was not the truth. So I was never, even though I saw myself as an honest person, I was never truthful with myself. Because
you weren't really fine.
No.
Like when you said, oh, the truth is I feel terrible, but I'm fine.
Yes. And
but
I was
the
never
truth
fine.
is that you're not really fine.
No, and people were like, are you okay? I'm fine, I'm great.
So when people ask you if you're not fine, if somebody asks you, how are you? Do you say, well, I feel a fucking hot mess. I missed my train today.
That's the thing.
You know,
exactly.
I missed my train today.
How do you
I burned my toes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the thing is, some people can't handle the truth, right?
Exactly.
And the problem is...
But I'm going to get there,
right.
So let's do this.
Yeah, and there was points in my life where people would tell me, you're too negative, you don't think... You know, and the thing is, I wasn't too negative.
People are not ready for the truth.
Yes, that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. Most people don't know they have mental health because everybody does that. You go to people and they say, how are you? And they say, you're fine. But people like you and I, and you that's watching as well, you know, you get to the point when people speak to you and they think that we're crazy or that you're out there or that you're extra or that you're dramatic.
Exactly.
Because if somebody say, Mecca, how are you?
I'd be rich for every time that someone said I was dramatic. And I'm like, it's not dramatic to be upset about the fact that so many people have let you down. And this is something that also, one of the assignments I had to do, because he gives me assignments every time, one of the assignments I had to do was write an entire account of my life, like actually, from when I was born until now. And
because that's the way you let it out.
Yes, exactly.
We're like hard drives, guys. It's like a storage. Our souls, our spirits, our organs is like a storage.
And I feel like I articulate myself far more through writing. But he said, but what I want you to do is, because obviously the way that I write can be very like lyrical and poetic and stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's happened that's not online, and or it is, I allude to something, I won't necessarily always go into the detail because it's and this is what I realized, because this is what he said to me, it's a detachment method. It's a way of like detaching yourself from the narrative as though you're telling the story, but it's not actually you, even though it is. Does that make sense? So like...
I see. Yeah. It's like a third person.
Right. Yeah. And that's
the thing. But you know what? Kind of. Also, I do this.
Yeah.
I feel like you need that for just sanity.
Sometimes, but sometimes you do. Yes.
Because sometimes I wake up and I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
You know, every day, guys, when I get in front of the camera, before I turn the camera on, even though I love what I do, right? Some days I have to pull out another person from behind my brain to come in front of the camera to say, come on.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes I sit there and I think, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
I'm missing sleep. I'm hungry. I'm struggling with this area of my life. And I have to pull somebody else. Somebody will come over me and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Mecca, If you don't just do it now, it's gonna be hanging over your head.
Exactly.
So when the camera comes on, guess what? That's when the light shines.
Presence. Yeah.
Hello, world.
Hey, I'm here. But actually, it's something you said earlier struck a chord with me. You're like, but how do you get on with your life? How have you done this and that and that? And the truth is, at some points, I don't know how I've done it. I think this method that I was telling you about, this coping mechanism of doing so many things at once, that's actually what has kept me going. Because I find, especially in winter, in periods where you're a bit more stagnant, where you're not doing as much.
Yeah.
That is when the thoughts come in. Like when I'm sitting on the train, that's when the thoughts will come in. When I'm trying to sleep at night, that's when the thoughts will come in. It's when you're stationary, when you're still.
Do you think that when you're still, that you're running from it?
Yeah, of course. But it's my.
Oh no! I mean, do you think that when you're moving, that you're running from it? Because when you're still, it comes. It's so clear. It won't leave you. It's like I am here.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't ignore it.
But that's why I was doing so much, at the same time. And actually, something that my therapist said recently was, even though you said that you're okay being alone because you've been alone for so long, he said, I don't think you're actually okay with your own company. And I said, I think you might be right,
Okay.
But that's only something that I realised recently. Because I was always like, oh, well, I've spent loads of times on my own. He's like, yes, but what are you doing in these times when you're on your own?
It's a difference. Yeah. I had to learn that because I understand it. Just to go back to what you said, I definitely agree, guys, when she just stated that, the movement, because you're always doing stuff at once. Here's the thing, life is always steady moving.
Yeah.
Just think about it. You got the clouds, life is ever evolving, the sun is always rotating, and then here comes the moon right behind her. So life is moving.
Galaxy.
And that's when they say, whenever you are stuck in a certain place in your life, the way to get out of it is by taking massive action.
Yes.
But then also, in order for you to break some type of barrier down or to remove something from your life, getting in the still place and getting in the silence to face it can do it. Because I was where you was at, right to the point. Because I was like that before. One day, I realized I was spending so much time by myself, doing so much, but I wasn't enjoying my own company.
Right.
I was distracted with myself.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to be still enjoy
and say your own silence. Yeah.
Yes.
And
how's that going for you now?
I mean, I am focusing a bit more on self-care and stuff, and I am taking time to myself. I would
what
say,
type of activities do you do?
I mean, literally, just chilling, watching shows, just messaging people, whatever, just being in the moment.
Feeling good by yourself.
Right. I mean, not always, but generally speaking, I just, chilling. But then the thing is with me, I often don't have a balance. So sometimes I'm all work and no play, and sometimes I'm all play and no work. Right. And then obviously you feel bad. Because you're like, oh my God, I got so much to do.
Or you say, oh God, I did too much and I feel like I have no life.
Right, but I'm the kind of person that I can't be at home for too long. Imagine if I spent a whole week at home and didn't leave my house, I would go,
Especially with somebody with mental health.
Right,
sometimes you need to have some type of action going on around you because it starts to feel as if you're in jail.
Exactly.
Because when you deal with mental, health issues, you already feel like,
run around your
oh
head.
my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because I've been through so much traumatic events as well. My dad passed away when I was 13. Yeah. My mom and dad both was incarcerated in and out of jail. Grew up, with drugs and violence.
So much. Trauma and loss at such a young age.
Same. So I know exactly what you mean. And sometimes, my thoughts will come up, and those self-defeating thoughts will come up, and I'm like a boxer with them. I'm like, not today.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Tell me, what is one thing that you want people to know? This can be anything.
About me?
Anything. What is one thing? If it was your last day on the earth, your last breath, and you had one thing to say, and you want one thing you want people to know, what is that one thing in one sentence?
One sentence? Oof. Okay, well, first of all, I'm not the most concise of people, so let me think about this. I guess I would want people to know that I'm just a human being, just like anybody else, My past doesn't define me, my future doesn't define me, even my future doesn't define me. But, labels don't define us, but what does define me is that I'm a nice person, I care about people, and I don't let bad things dictate the kind of person that I want to be or that I am. So really, really, I guess if you sum it up in one sentence, I'm just a normal human being who has dreams just like anybody else, you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
And you don't let the external things, guys. I always speak about this, and I always say that, you know, society, they promote everything external to us. You know, but really at the end of the day, when we die, when we got to go into our coffins, or when we have to, you know, get on the unicorn and go to the next dimension, the only thing that's going to matter was everything that's internal.
Exactly.
You know, who you were as a person, what you felt about yourself. What do you want to
leave behind?
Exactly. You know? What energy are you leaving behind?
Right.
That's
and I always like to surround myself with, I try and surround myself with positive energy, you know? Because, you know,
high vibration.
Right, exactly. Like, I really believe in, like, I'm really good at picking up on vibes, like atmospheres, you know, that kind of thing. Like, if you surround yourself with negative people, of course you're going to get toxic energy.
Down to the ground.
Exactly. Right, exactly. But if you surround yourself with people that you trust and you love, you know, then it's great. Then you start to feel better about yourself. But this is another life lesson that I learned from therapy. Other people's feelings or how other people are should not define how you want to feel about yourself, right?
Yes.
So let's give an example. Say you went on a date with someone, you really liked them, things happened, you know, you had some good sexy time, as you do.
Yeah.
But then you realise that you both want different things, and this was not established before. And, you know, and then you get upset about it, and you're like, oh well, this person has made me feel like this. Well, no, actually, this person has not made you feel like this. It's the way you've processed what has happened. Does that make sense?
And your expectations.
Right, exactly. It's all about expectations.
And you know what? To add to that, guys, is whatever a person do to you or however a person treats you has really nothing to do with you. Like, for example, most of my friends can't understand why I'm friends damn near with all of my ex-boyfriends or anybody who did me wrong in my life. Because I know that I suffer, you know, from certain things that's internal.
Yes.
And it has to do with me.
Right.
Anything that's bad that I've done to somebody else, it didn't mean that I didn't love them. No. It didn't mean that I wanted to go and kill their whole spirit and their life, rain on their parade. I was trying to survive the best way. Exactly. Right. So it has nothing, when somebody do something to you, it has nothing to do with you or your worth. No. You can't let that define you. It's something internal with that person. And, you know, you just have to pray that they see the light one day.
Right. Because the thing is, if you give them that power, if you let them make you feel that way, you know, when something bad happens to you, you acknowledge it, right? You can move on, of course, but you don't let it define who you are as a person.
I like that.
You know, I'm not an abused child. I'm not a bullied teen. I'm not vulnerable adult. I'm none of those things, but they're all assets of what have happened. But it doesn't define what happened. You know, trippy.
Ooh, listen, did you see? Look, that's powerful. I am none of these things. They happened to me. They were just assets. It was something that was a part of the journey. You know, for example, you're driving your car and your car breaks down and you get a flat tire. You're not going to say you're a flat tire. No. You're going to say, guess what? A flat tire happened along my journey. You're not going to pick that up. So exactly things that happen to us in there. You know, oh, I suffer from rape. You know, I used to get raped and molested. I'm a molested child. No, I'm not going to carry that with me. I'm not that. That happened. That was a part of, you know, my journey. But, you know, that was an accessory.
Right. I always say...
Oh, girl, you better come through.
Yes,
come through.
Exactly. I always say I'm not a victim. I'm a warrior. Like, I'm a motherfucking warrior. Like, and so is anyone. Anyone that's been through abuse, PTSD, anxiety, any bad situation in your life does not make you a victim. Maybe, you know, some people see you that way. You don't need to be labeled as a victim. You don't need to choose to be defined as a victim.
That's why you keep excelling in your life. So tell me, what does happiness mean to you in one word?
In one word? Wow.
I know, maybe these one sentences in one word.
No, I know, I'm like, come on. You know I like to write and talk. I think I would say happiness is love. That's what I would use.
Yes.
Let me tell you why.
That's it. Come on. Come on.
Like I said, I've not really had a lot of love in my life, but when I have had it, it's been beautiful. Like it's been warm and nurturing, and just lovely to have. So that's why I would say that happiness to me is love. Because I've not had much of it in my life, and when I do, it's beautiful. It's like, it's so
It's
so
just
hard.
beautiful.
It's just beautiful. That's
It's
all
like
you
a
can
flower.
say. It's like
You
a
don't
flower,
even know.
exactly.
You just look at the flower and it's beautiful. Guys, listen. Anna is a warrior, like she said. We are survivors. If you are dealing with mental health, if you're dealing with some depression, anything that is negative in your life, something that is keeping you down, trust me, you are not a victim of this.
No.
The points that I've even taken away from this interview, like when she stated that, first of all, I don't let it identify me. Okay? What I've been through is don't identify me. It happened to me, but I don't let it identify me. Another thing that she stated, guys, is you have to speak those good things into your life, the positive things, the affirmations into your life. The other thing is that, guess what? Movement. Think about life. Life is continuously going and moving and thriving.
So you need to be
move.
dynamic.
Exactly. Yeah. Be dynamic.
If you don't have that dynamicism in your life, then what's the point, really?
Listen, it's beautiful. And so I'm so excited because I wanted to bring her here and just have a normal chat, guys, because you know the base of my business is to help you mentally, because it doesn't matter what you want in life. If it's material, you want a new house, you want a new, you want to build your relationship, you want your business to be better, you want this with your family. It all starts with something internal. It all starts with the mental mindset. Until you got that right and this right, then nothing else will matter. What happens on the outside flows from what's in the inside. So I'm so excited about this video, guys. And tell people where to find you. What's new? How can we stay connected?
Okay, well, I mean, I've got a blog. It's called Faded Spring, so you can find me on there. You'll have a wide variety of humorous posts on fuckboys. If you want to something, yep.
Stop being friendly to the fuckboys.
Right,
Hello.
exactly. Hello. If you want something a little humorous, because you know I'm not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
But then if you want something, you know, about like mental health, I've got posts on depression, anxiety, and PTSD. My own experiences, other people's experiences. If you're feeling a little hungry, I got posts on food.
Yes, like a lot of food
right,
reviews.
I do. I review a lot of restaurants and like hotels and bars. Like I do a lot on alcohol and stuff. Like basically, I talk about things that I'm passionate about that make my life fun, and I want to share it with you guys. So
amazing.
And there is a lot of real life stories on there, but it's a wide mix. So if you're looking for something a little fresh and fun, I'm your girl. I'm also on Instagram.
Yes, guys. All our information will be below in the description box.
But please come and check me out. And drop me a message. I answer every single message, and I'm not just saying that. I actually do.
Yes.
I spend a lot of time messaging everyone back, so I will always answer you. It might take some time, but I'll be there.
She'll be there.
I'll be sending some happy sprinkles and rainbow unicorns your way.
That's it.
Yes.
And guys, as we always say here at Mecca Mastery TV, we encourage you to become the greatest version of yourself in every area of life. So you go out into the world, take a whole lot of action. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything, because you can do whatever you put your mind to.
Yes.
We send in love, peace, and energy your way. Until next time, see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Peace.